Though I think, again, this is another example of machine sewing just to make things faster, because that's the point of machine sewing, is that it makes it faster. Technically, everything you can do on a machine, you can do by hand, but it takes a long time. But damn, wouldn't that just be so cool to be like, I hand sewed this entire garment. I used to do judging for cosplay contests, and a lot of the people building costumes would just be like, I hand sewed this entire kimono. And I'm like, cool. But could you have done parts of it with machine sewing? And pretty much the rule goes where if you can do it with machine sewing, you won't get extra points for doing it by hand. Because, you're just, making it harder than you need to. But I wasn't the best cosplay judge because I didn't really get cosplay. I do and I don't. Like, I will be the first person to admit that I do not understand why people like Jessica Nigri and Yaya Han are so famous. Because to me, cosplay isn't about like fame. Okay, essentially what it comes down to is that they're performers. They're performers that have, and the thing that they perform with is like cosplay and costumes and stuff. And they are way more productive than I think I ever could be. Like, they make stuff like crazy. And I know they have help, and that's where I get a little bit grumpy about them. Because they're like, I make it all myself. I'm like, no you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have this much stuff all that often. It's just impossible. Which is fine. But, I don't know. It's the same way I feel about costume designers in film. Like, they get all the accolades when it's really a costume house that's doing it, But that's just kind of how things are. It's not great, but can't change everything yourself. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure these go together. That's one thing I like about some of the guys I watch, like Nostalgia Critic and Cinema Snob, is that like Brad Jones from the Cinema Snob does do everything himself, but he often has his friends help, like, in extra roles. And then like if he needs, never mind, I completely lost my train of thought. Go watch the Cinema Snob, he's great. That's my point. Go watch Cinema Snob. I love him. Hell, I think one of my next Comic-Con I'll go to, that if I'm not working at like Fan Expo Vancouver, it'll be somewhere in Chicago, so I can finally meet the bastard. Just be like, I love you! No, not that way. Like, you're an awesome creator. Oh, I just realized I could totally sew it from the inside. Whatever. Next time. I know. You can't see what my left hand's doing because it's in the way. I'm holding it down again. There we go. Alright, let's fill that up. I don't think the ear should be that stuffed. Oh, hey, to all my buddies out there in Philadelphia, my dad gave me a really, really cool thing last night. Me and my dad are both huge baseball fans, despite the fact that we live in a city with no baseball team. Only a pretty darn pleasant soccer team and an asshole hockey team. That's all we get. And a Canadian Football League football team, but I don't love the Lions. I'm from Saskatchewan, therefore I love the Rough Riders, but you Americans will have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, we were watching the NLCS Division Championships last night, where the Chicago Cubs won for the first time in 71 years, since 1945. I was like, I was beside myself. It was amazing. And so my dad's response to me being just ballistic with excitement and happiness for the Chicago Cubs winning, because, I mean, the Cubs, I like them. I've always liked them. They have a gorgeous field at Wrigley Field with the ivy and stuff. Oh my God, it's just... Anyways, sorry, I'm getting a little bit too nerdy about baseball. Anyways, he gave me a baseball that had every single signature of the 1983 Philadelphia Phillies on it. And if any of you know baseball at all, the 1983 Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series. So it's a pretty darn valuable baseball. And it's double valuable to me because my dad gave it to me. And it's a funny story how my dad got the baseball. When he was in medical school, they got to go do an internship wherever in the world they wanted to do it. Or maybe just Canada or the United States. Anyways, so my dad did his internship in New York, and I don't really know much about that story other than he was in New York for a couple months. But his buddy knew a guy at the Philadelphia Phillies organization and was like interned as like their team medic or some such. And I think the guy was like majoring in sports medicine anyway. And this is like 83, right? So it's a long time ago. And all the guys were still there from the World Series. Maybe I guess this would have been 84. Anyways, so they all signed this baseball. Actually, I could go get it and show it to you if you like. But yeah, I think I also have a 1992 Toronto Blue Jays signed baseball too from my grandpa. So, yes, I like baseball. If Toronto weren't so cold and gross, I'd move there because they have a baseball team. Too bad the Toronto Blue Jays lost to the Cleveland. I'm not saying what their team name is because it's racist. The Clevelands. I call them the Cleveland Star Dragons because it's a better name than the one they have. Anyway, so Cleveland won, which is kind of cool because their team has also not won since 1948, the World Series. But the Chicago Cubs haven't won a World Series since 1908. So, I'm sorry. Also, I've always liked the Cubs. I like National League Baseball better than American League Baseball because the pitchers have to hit. And for some reason, it's less rowdy. Like, I cannot tell you how many American League games I've seen where somebody gets punched, which is weird in baseball because as far as athletes go, they're not nearly as rowdy as other sports. And neither are the fans, unless they're from, like, Boston or something. Yeah, you hear me, Boston Red Sox fans. You guys can be rowdy jerks, but you can also be awesome. But luckily, neither Boston nor New York's in the World Series this year. It's Cleveland and Chicago, which is pretty dang cool. Because here's the thing. No matter who wins, it'll be a really fun series. Because neither have won in a very long time. Nobody alive today was alive the last time that the Chicago Cubs won a World Series. Very few people are alive today who were alive last time they were in the World Series. My grandpa was 24. 24. He's 95 now. And there was a war going on. But baseball still happened. But, you know, things like normalcy still needs to happen when wars happen. Like, they're still making movies, and there's still baseball and hockey. I don't think football was a major league sport yet. I know, right? Weird to think that football is as huge as it is now, and it wasn't a major league sport in the 40s. But baseball and hockey were. I don't know much about basketball. Other than a local boy, Steve Nash, is pretty good at it. He's currently in a lawsuit with Steve Nash Fitness Clubs because they're like, don't use my name anymore. And they're like, but that's the entire brand. But he's like, but you guys suck. I don't want you to use my name anymore. And so on and so forth in the world of legality in Canada. Okay, so I was watching the new Bennett the Sage And it's his newest episode is about Don Geyser 3. And one of the main characters is Canadian, and she's a total asshole. And I'm like, he's like, sorry, I'm Canadian, I speak English. And I'm like, true, I am Canadian and I speak English as well, but Canada has 2 languages that are like legal federal languages. And the other's French. So it'd be really, really funny if in the show she's like, what's that? I'm Canadian, I only speak French. That'd have been really stupid. It's a stupid anime, but sometimes stupid is fun. Okay, so the other ear is on. Cool. So I'm going to... There we go. There's the other ear. They're both now on. I'm just trying to figure out ways to make things go faster for me, and I think that hand sewing on the ears from the inside would be easier. There we go. Alright, so here we go. Here's the new dog with his new ears. Very cute. Now let's smash. There we go. Alright. I don't know why okay, if you're wondering why I do that with this thing, is so I can get it back on my finger. Alright, so let's cut the eye out. You can see that this was the bit of fleece I used to cut the hair from on the first doll, but I do actually think that the fake fur looks better. So now I'm going to make the eye. Okay, so again, you make it a little bit bigger than what you think it's actually going to be, because hand sewing and yes, quite a little bit too big. Yeah. So essentially what's going to happen is that on this guy, it has a lot of fuzz on it. Quite nearly circular enough. Trying to make them around the same size. Anyway, so these are going to be stuffed a little bit underneath them. So I'll keep those scraps that can be eyes for the next dog. And then I'm going to cut little bits off the black here. Is this not my, are these not my good scissors? Okay. Yeah, I'm playing it a little bit by ear here. Okay. The thread scissors are... Okay, so we want to make the nose nice and big. Almost Disney-like. So